I gotta be honest with you. I thought this would be a little bit more epic, but anyways, let's head to the office and talk a little bit more about my carb load for the next 3 days before my marathon. Focus here, believe in yourself. Hi everybody and welcome back to today's video. My name is Matt and this is What Matters to Matt, and on today's video we're going to be talking about believing in yourself. I've got a marathon coming up in a couple of days and today's going to be all about my carb loading. I started my carb load yesterday, but I figured I'd sit down and chat for just a few minutes about exactly how that carb load, how I've gone about making that carb load happen. We're going to go into just where I came up with the actual number of carbs I'm going to be eating. Then we'll go into what kind of carbs I'm going to be eating. And then lastly, how am I going to be tracking that? So to start off with, where did I come up with the actual number of carbs I'm going to be eating over the next couple of days? Well, that actually comes back to, now if you've watched my channel before, one of the other YouTube channels that I brought up a couple of different times that I watch quite a bit is actually Believe in the Run. Now, Believe in the Run has a couple of different podcasts. They have The Drop that they're released every week, actually 2 episodes a week. And they also have Fuel for the Soul. Now, Fuel for the Soul is a separate podcast that they do with a nutritionist, Meghann Featherstone. And Meghann Featherstone's website, featherstonenutrition.com, I'll put a link to that in the description down below, is actually where I went to get quite a bit of my information, because I do listen to that podcast quite a bit and I trust her in what she's saying. So we're going to go ahead and try to fuel leading into this race exactly like Meghann has laid out on her website. And it all starts with this carb loading calculator that you can get. Again, I'm going to put a link directly to that in the description down below, but basically you can put in some basic information to this calendar. Now I want you to keep in mind that when I plug this in, she does say a couple of different times on the podcast when she talks about this carb loading calculator that this is not gospel. This is not something that you have to follow. A lot of people have unique circumstances. They may react to carbs a little bit differently, but this is a good benchmark. This is a good place to start. So let's dive into plugging some of my numbers into the calculator and seeing exactly what it comes out to in terms of total carbs that I should be eating on this 3-day carb load. All right, so if we dive into the calculator, first thing it's going to ask for is your age. I am 40 years old. I am about 70 inches, so 5'11"-ish tall, and my weight right now hovers around 168. I weighed myself this morning. I think that's roughly what I weighed, maybe 167, 168. I am probably going to gain a couple of pounds over the carb load. That's perfectly normal. That's perfectly fine. If anything, you can think of it as just restoring your glycogen stores and topping everything up. So it's a good thing. You're going to have more hydration, more water in the system. It's good that you actually put on a couple of pounds. It's not something that you need to be worried about. But let's look at what the calculator actually says for me. Now, if you look down, the other thing that it's going to ask for is, are you running a half marathon in over an hour 40, half marathon in under an hour 40? Are you running a marathon, or are you running an endurance event that's going to last you more than 2 hours? Now, there's only 2 people out there in the world, well, two that I think are capable of running a sub 2 hour marathon, which is an endurance event. And I'm not one of those people. But that being said, we'll pick the marathon. And when we go down to the bottom of this list, it does ask you whether you want to have a 2-day carb load or a 3-day carb load. For me, I like to pick 3 days because I find 2 days to be a little bit tight. What it seems to happen with this calculator is they're looking at the total number of carbs they think you need to take in over the number of days that you pick, and they just divide that between the number of days. So what that leaves you with is, if you're just picking a 2-day carb load, they're actually asking you to actually eat more carbs each day and not spread it out over 3 days. So I went with 3 days. That started yesterday. We're on to day 2 right now, and I felt pretty good hitting those targets yesterday. So total number of carbs that this carb load calculator has me eating is actually 611 grams of carbs per day. Now, if you do the math on that, that's 2,444 calories in total just going to carbs, 4 calories per every gram of carb. If I'm somebody who's looking at eating between 2,800 calories and 3,000 calories, which is roughly what I'm eating right now, that doesn't leave a lot of extra room for anything else. Just keep in mind that for me, I'm really focusing in on the carbs, so maybe rightfully, wrongfully, I won't be eating a ton of veggies over the next couple of days. And I'm also keeping it to pretty lean meats like chicken breast, tuna, maybe some eggs or some egg whites, but that's pretty well it. But I do have some treats in terms of sugar that are also maybe not ideal, but they are going to be carb focused, so that's going to help me out in terms of total carbs for this carb load. All right, so the second thing on this website that I really enjoy is actually the carb load how-to guide that you can go ahead, download. You just have to provide your email. You're going to get an email sent to you, and you can download the carb load guide directly from there. There's a little bit of information that I find that can be really useful. First off, she does talk about exactly why we are carb loading in the first place. I'm not going to go in too much detail here. There's lots of other videos out there that are probably quite a bit better than any of my videos. But by the way, I did do a video a couple weeks ago now, where I talked about carb loading mistakes. And if you are new to my channel and you haven't subscribed to my channel, go back, check that one out, and put in the comments down below of this video, are there any carb loading mistakes that you feel like you might have made in the past? Give this video a thumbs up. Let's move on to looking at what else we can find in that guide. All right, so one of the other pages, or at least the other page I really want to focus on here, because this is what I had with me when I went out shopping for what I was going to eat during my carb load. This is actually a page where she has different carbs or different carb sources that you can break out into 50 grams of carbs per serving or per couple of servings. I found this really useful because for me, what I don't want to do is I don't want to eat just a couple of big meals loaded up with carbs each day to get my total 611 carbs per day. I actually want to spread that out through the day, do quite a bit of snacking. And for me, that means 50 grams of carbs per serving allows me to do that sort of thing. So when I was out there shopping, it was a really good thing to have in mind. And keep in mind, these are just suggestions. And also keep in mind that these are just ballpark figures. The first example that they have is actually a bagel. Now, some bagels are going to have 50 grams of carbs. Some are going to have 35. Some are going to have 60. So if you are tracking like I tend to do and you are looking at it pretty close, you might have to weigh things out. You might have to read some labels. But these are some good ballparks. So some of the things that she has included on this list are bagels, some scratch or some sports drink, some graham crackers, some large bread, cooked pasta, rice pretzels, cereal, candy, baked potato, bananas, applesauce, pineapple, honey, maple syrup. I'm Canadian, so definitely maple syrup is part of the carb load, and raisins. So these are just some examples. It's definitely not all inclusive. There are plenty of other carbs out there that you can eat. Keep in mind when you look at these, and she doesn't mention it on this page, but I believe it's also listed in the guide. It's definitely listed in some of the things that you want to avoid when it comes to carb loading. Is we're looking at things that aren't too high in fiber. You don't want to eat too much fiber. That can be something that can really cause some digestion issues leading into the race. So pick the foods that you're going to be eating. Try not to pick too many high fiber foods, because when we're adding all those extra carbs, that is entirely possible. You also want to make sure that you're looking at foods that don't have too much fat. A lot of times when we think about high carb foods, those are our desserts and things with lots and lots of sugar. A lot of those foods also that are really palatable also come with quite a bit of fat. So just something to keep in mind, something you might want to avoid so you don't overdo it on calories and you also don't make you feel too incredibly bad come race day morning. All right, so we looked at what Meghann Feathers, aka Feathers, has on her website in terms of suggestions. Let's have a look at what I'm going to be eating, or I started eating yesterday. I'm eating today and tomorrow leading up to my race on Sunday. Bonkers to me. They had a marathon coming up this Sunday, and we're going to be trying to break my PR by over 30 minutes. But it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. It's probably going to happen. Weather dependent, but it looks good right now. But let's have a look at what I'm actually going to be eating, taking a look at my thumbnail. And if you look at that thumbnail, we've got rice, pineapple, jam, Gatorade, a couple of different types of Oreos, some wafer cookies, some maple syrup, some oatmeal, bananas, bread, apples, applesauce, Reese Puffs. This is a go-to for me in terms of some carbs. Not the greatest thing in the world for you, but I'm going to be eating that during this carb load definitely. And of course, bagels. Now, again, this isn't all inclusive, but it is most of the things I'm going to be eating during this carb load to get me through the next day or two. All right, so that is what I'm going to be eating over the next day. So what I started eating yesterday, what I'm eating today, what I'm eating tomorrow, and right now I'm feeling pretty good. I'm not bad. I think I'm ready for race day. Got a little bit of time left here. I hopped on the scale yesterday, and interestingly enough, when I weighed myself yesterday versus when I weighed myself this morning, I actually lost a little bit of weight. Now, I was measuring everything out. I ate plenty of carbs. I drank lots of water. I was pretty sure I was going to be weighing more, but I lost a little bit of weight. So we're going to see what tomorrow brings, and we'll see what race day morning brings. That's totally out of interest for me. That's not out of anything where I'm going to panic and not eat much the next day or two. Totally out of interest. Just curious about what those numbers are going to be. If you want to follow me on my journey, if you want to see me either epically smash my PR or epically fail in trying to smash my PR, and you're not subscribed to my channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit that bell notification so you get notified when these videos come out. We've got a really exciting summer coming up this summer. My name is Matt. This is What Matters to Matt, and ultimately, what matters to me most is my family. I'll see you guys in the next video.
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be